Hey, this is Amanda Elo'esh here with your weekly heads up, your weekly inspiration for having a magical life. And today I wanted to share with you a little bit about how you can identify when your vulnerability has been locked up and behind defenses. And first of all, why would you want to let yourself be vulnerable? Well, that's a very long topic, but briefly, when we're vulnerable, that's where our authentic self resides, is in our vulnerability. And everything, the volume gets turned up on everything, on the joys, on ecstasy, on physical pleasure, on emotional pleasure. And, the downside is that the challenges too are more raw. And that's a whole other discussion. But for those of you who recognize that vulnerability is a great quality to reside within, and are interested in letting it be expressed and letting it out, I wanted to share with you this great insight I got. So I was working with a client, and her intention was to get to some vulnerable places, some vulnerable wounds that she was really ready to to heal. And as we started moving closer and closer to this one particular sensitive part of her experience, she started defending herself. And the download that I witnessed was like a judgment. I could see her self-judgment, and her defense against that judgment were like the gatekeepers holding vulnerability prisoner. And the judgment and the defense against the judgment were like having a little wrestling match. And what was happening in this wrestling match was that the judgment was coming up, she was defending against it, and then all the while this vulnerable place was continuing to feel unseen, unexpressed, held prisoner, and also triggered. It was triggered and in pain. And every time we started getting closer and closer to it, the defenses came up. And I thought, what an amazing realization that when we start to have judgment, I think, other people can have judgments about us, but unless there's a part of us that's afraid that might be true, it doesn't really affect us. So it's really mostly the judgments we hold against ourselves. So when we have judgments against ourselves, we put up justifications. And those two things are like two sides of the same coin, an issue around integrity or honesty or even, our diet or whatever. If we step outside of what we judge ourselves to be appropriate or true for us or in alignment with our best interests, and we justify it, we have to justify it instead. And then those two things get going and fighting, and we get lost in that and get concerned and preoccupied with finding blame or trying to avoid being blamed for something, when behind it, in the actual prison cell, is something that needs our attention. And so I got to witness it for myself as well. I made a really big mistake recently, and I just felt awful about it. I felt nauseated, and a friend was around when I realized the mistake I'd made, and my instinct was to kind of like make up an excuse for it, and he was kind of saying, well, you could tell her this and this and make that excuse. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna just fully own what happened. I'm gonna be completely vulnerable, fully own what happened. I'm not gonna make any excuses. I'm not gonna defend myself. And in the past, I would have beat up on myself for days, constantly running it in the back of my head. Oh man, I really messed that up. I can't believe I did that. I'm just kind of stuck in that script, that, judgment and then self-defense. Well, I did it because this and this. And instead of going into that little battle of judgment and justification, I just felt into, wow, my heart really hurts. My stomach feels kind of nauseated. I'm just going to love myself and recognize that I'm human and I made a mistake and love that part of me. Breathe, take care. What do I need? Oh, I need to breathe. I need to remind myself that I'm still worthy of love and that mistakes are okay. And the sun's setting, so it's getting darker. Anyway, so as soon as I owned up to it, I put it out there to the person who I had kind of caused problems for. She responded in a really great way and said, oh, well, you know, these things happen. This is how we can fix it. And I fixed it and moved on. And I didn't end up beating up on myself. And I'm so grateful. And I just wanted to share that insight so that next time you find yourself justifying, making excuses, defending, to try to put that down and to let that part go and to really just pay attention to what's happening inside and to love that part of yourself. Give it breath, give it your attention, give it your love, your compassion, your forgiveness. Make sure that part of you is doing okay. And then see, you know, what needs to be done after that. Is there anything that needs to be done to correct it? But mostly, my guess is what you'll find is a great release and a deeper understanding of yourself and a better liking of yourself. I hope that this is a big subject. I'm cramming it into just a few minutes. There's more insights in my newsletter. If you like what you heard here and you're not on my website already, amandaeloesh.com, go to my website first of all. Check it out. There's lots of great stuff there, free stuff for you to check out, gifties from me to you. And if you really like what you see, then sign up for my newsletters. They'll be delivered to your inbox every week. And there are little extra insights that go a little bit deeper into what I cover so that you get a fuller scoop of what I'm talking about. So I hope this has been helpful. And until next week, may the magic be with you.